The nerds are mad about Disney again.
Rachel Zegler, do you know her?
The world's most insufferable narcissist.
Who's a woke Snow White?
Deranged left-wing activist.
You're gonna have to redo your film again, because this woman is a pig.
Rachel Zegler, what a trash person.
Yeah, apparently the remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is too woke? Oh, you know, Snow White, the tale of a woman sleeping with 7 men, evading authorities, and getting French kissed out of a coma. Real traditional. Rachel Zegler said one snarky thing, and now a bunch of men who wear cargo shorts unironically are acting like she personally spit in Walt Disney's cryogenic chamber. Welcome to Tyler's Kitchen, the world's first anti-cooking show where I talk about my special interests, which include but are not limited to feminism, history, pop culture, and random shit I see on the internet with a few more jokes than is necessary and or appropriate. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? Cameron Diaz? Yes, but it's also you. You're literally glowing, girl. Stop. If you want to be the fairest of them all, you don't need a magic mirror. You just need Typology, which I am currently wearing a full face of right now. Their tinted serum, concealer, and lip oil aren't just makeup, they're also skincare. And they're packed with ingredients that actually do something. No spells required. The tinted serum has vitamin C, squalane, and aloe vera. As for the concealer, this contains caffeine and niacinamide, so it brightens and reduces puffiness, which is good when you spend all night researching clips of rage bait Snow White videos. You can tell I've been using this one a lot. I've had it in my club purse and I just like put it on after things get a little crazy in West Hollywood, a little refresher. It's the perfect amount of coverage while still feeling lightweight, and I rarely say this about a concealer. Look at my face right now. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I look gorgeous right now. And the lip oil, squalane, vitamin E, so it hydrates and gives you that natural color. Very Snow White core. I'm also wearing this on my cheeks. I also feel like it's the perfect dewy flush, so I put it on my cheeks too today. And right now, if you shop Typology's Tinted Trio through my exclusive link in the description, you'll get the Bi-Phase Eye Makeup Remover for free on orders over $40. So if you want to glow like a princess without the royal drama, check out Typology using the link in the description. All right. Back to the video. In today's video, I want to talk about the misogynist hate campaign against the lead actress in the new Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs movie, Rachel Zegler. While there is plenty of discourse going around on this topic, I specifically want to take the floor today to really just make fun of Matt Walsh. So follow along and have a wonderful time. And of course, today we are making Snow White's Poison Apples. We'll see how this goes. So where did the hate for Rachel Zegler even begin? In 2021, Rachel Zegler was announced as the new Snow White. Immediately fans were upset mostly because she's not white. Like seriously, that's why fans were upset. Much like when they said that Little Mermaid is gonna be black. But things really took off in 2022 when at the D23, a Disney nerd convention, in an interview, Rachel Zegler told Extra,
you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
To me, this is like cheeky and funny, but the internet was outraged by this clip. The way that this was clipped on TikTok and everybody had a 3-minute dissertation on what this film means to them. Strange. Also, this apple kind of sucks. Like, aren't GMOs a thing for a reason? Okay, so I'm gonna take my washed apples. I just need to put sticks in these. At the same event, in a different interview, she said it's no longer 1937. She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's going to be dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be. Again, people were so angry. You know, like, actors don't write the scripts, like they don't dictate the film. In a Vanity Fair interview published the following month, Zegler doubled down. People are making these jokes about ours being the PC Snow White, where it's like, yeah, it is because it needed that. I find the outrage just to be so ridiculous because why would you want like an exact remake? Why make the same thing twice? Like if you really love the Snow White story, go back and watch the cartoon. And you know why you won't do it? Because that is like not a good movie. Like, it's not a fun film to watch. Nobody wants to watch it. Nobody's ever liked Snow White. So acting like you're up in arms about the sanctity of this film, about ruining the Snow White story and making it woke is just so disingenuous. Because nobody ever gave a fuck about Snow White, loser. She added, it's an 85-year-old cartoon, and our version is a refreshing story about a young woman who has a function beyond someday my prince will come. And this sparked one of the biggest Hollywood hate campaigns I have ever seen. Comparable to like Blake Lively hate. For these 3 comments that are very much comments that have like been circulating online. There was definitely a BuzzFeed post from like 10 years ago where somebody was like, princess movies are not woke. These are definitely BuzzFeed talking points that she got. Rachel Zegler is kind of like me, I feel like, in Gen Z that has millennial energy from like watching too much online culture at formative ages. I know we would be friends. And I know she said that in a very tongue-in-cheek way. These are not new things that she made up to say. Like, these have been circulating, and all you motherfuckers have like said this privately. Like, I've said this definitely multiple times. The fact that she's being taken down like this is so strange and weird. This level of hate, literally the hate campaign is absurd. But first, add sugar, water, and corn syrup to a medium saucepan fitted with a candy thermometer. I don't believe I have a candy thermometer, so I guess we're just gonna kind of like guess. Dang it, I thought I was doing so well. Cause I guess we're like gonna candy the apples, which sounds way less good than like caramel apple, but this is what we're doing today. 1.5 cups of sugar, and now I need 1/4 cup corn syrup. Until the temperature reaches 300, I don't know how I'm supposed to know that. 1/4 cup light corn syrup. Things are getting sticky over here. Now I need 1/4 cup of this. So bring to a boil over medium heat.
Again, you can cast people however you want to cast people. I really don't care. However, Snow White, in which the description of the character is skin as white as snow, lips red as the rose. Like, there's an actual physical description of the part. The name of the movie is Snow White, okay? So instead, they decided they were going to cast a person who, in common parlance, would be termed a person of color, a brown person.
I just find that crash out so funny. Like, it really does not change anything in the plot for her to be white. Like, I've seen a lot of people in the comments like, we're gonna cast Sadie Sink as Mulan. Well, no, because like what Mulan's background is very influential on the plot of the story. Snow White being white or brown or whatever literally doesn't matter. So I just don't know why you cared enough to make this video. Ben's mad she's not Snow White enough. This is such theater kid nonsense. Shocker, Snow White isn't white enough for a guy who looks like he gets sunburnt by the fridge light.
I said certified freak 7 days a week.
Culture war yahoos are just upset because this new retelling of the Snow White story is girl boss.
Then a short clip of the film surfaced online, and we saw exactly what a girl boss Snow White looks like. The clip showed Snow White directing the dwarves to clean their own cottage for her as she instructs them to whistle while they work.
What a bitch. She told them to whistle while they work.
The dwarves come home from a long day at the mines, and they're met by a bossy, unpleasant woman telling them to clean up.
It's their own house, and it was gross. Have you ever dated like a gross guy? Have you ever gone to a guy's house and you open the shower and you go, ah! And then you like give him a little like, hey, FYI, this is fucking disgusting and I don't know how you live like this. They appreciate when you do that. Just some food for thought. Girls, comment if this is like a common experience, but I always feel like Snow White. Okay, so my candy situation is boiling now. Cook until the temperature reaches 300 degrees. I guess 300 degrees would be like getting sticky. I feel like it's at a boil, so maybe wait 5 minutes to like scoopy.
Doesn't even help them in this version, which is a pretty big change from the original. She also doesn't seem remotely grateful that they're giving her a place to stay when she desperately needs it. Instead, she just sings along and watches the dwarves do all the work, almost sadistically, really.
And again, this is like the director's choice, this is the film's choice, but somehow still, Rachel Zegler is getting thousands of death threats a day on Twitter. How is this Rachel Zegler's fault? You just know this guy comes home after a long day of podcasting. Your job is podcasting, and you just know he kicks up his feet and is like, wife, get me something. Wife, bring me a drink. Why don't you whistle while you work?
That was back in the 30s when women actually wanted to be around men, actually wanted to be in love. Like, even though women in 2023 We still come home. Even the most girl bossy feminist girls out there that I know, they still come home. They cuddle up on the couch, and you know what they watch? Rom-coms. They watch rom-coms and BBC Jane Austen adaptations, and they eat ice cream because at the end of the day, we're still women, we still want to be in love, and we still like men.
You're such a weirdo. There is a prince in the film, first off. Second off, the show isn't for you. It's for children. Also, if you pulled 1,000 little girls in a room and you were like, what would make a princess cool? I guarantee more of them are going to want to see the princess do cool shit than be in love, because that's not what little kids want to do. This film is for little kids.
These seem to be the only talking points that these two actresses have been given because they are regurgitating them in literally every single interview that they have done.
If you think it's a message coming from the higher ups at Disney, again, why are we threatening Rachel Zegler? Filling 120 minutes off of the most bland story of all time is gonna be difficult. Of course they wanted to add some spice to it. Consider this. You get a biopic written about your life. Wouldn't you want to include your career too? The love story can be just a part of a bigger story, or even if there isn't one, it's for kids. Who cares? It's not for you. Who cares, weirdo? A girl slipping into a coma and waking up to find a rich man on top of her. So it's a love story when Snow White does it, but when Hugh Hefner does it, it's a lawsuit? Interesting. Okay, so now it's changing colors, so maybe this is something. I'm gonna put in the red food coloring. It will always echo in my mind the one comment I got that was like, maybe if you spent less time on your hair and outfit and more time on the recipe, these videos would be more watchable. She got my ass with that one. This angry tweet said, Snow White is patient and kind and resilient. These traits are worth representing. You haven't even seen the film. I just feel like Rachel Zegler never said that this Snow White's not gonna be kind. I guess if you consider like making men clean up their own house is unkind, then I guess, yeah, like maybe. Did I perhaps do this right? But I'm not getting very even coatings happening here. Wait, this kind of looks good. I'm gonna make it even more red though. I want it to be vibrant. That was way too much. Did you see that? Someone said, let women have their fairy tales. I don't know, buddy. Your wife has been living a fairy tale for years. The one where she pretends she likes you. Y'all are about to be impressed when I did this no candy thermometer. This kind of looks wonderful.
Because the point of Snow White's fairy tale, isn't that she's gonna try and become a leader. That was never in the original fairy tale. That's not part of Snow White's story. She's not supposed to be this girl boss, leader, queen, feminist icon.
First off, you're like an adult man. This was never gonna be for you. I don't know why you've clocked in as Disney historian general. Go to any like playground right now. I mean, don't go to any playground right now, but like seriously, anybody who like is around children would know that like little girls are not into being trad wives. Little girls want to fight and play soccer and run around and cast spells and do magic. You remember the film Frozen? Do you remember how all we ever heard for like 6 years after that was Let It Go? And you know why? Because Elsa was just cool and had cool powers and kind of stayed in her own lane. That's what like little girls want.
Snow White wanted to find true love. That's fine, most of us do. She didn't really set out to be a leader. Not all of us do. Sometimes you just want to be in the middle of a forest baking pies.
Once again, if you are an 8-year-old girl, you do not want to watch 120 minutes of baking pies in the forest. That's why she's the lamest Disney princess. Everybody knows that. First off, fuck ass Bob. No little girl resonates with that ugly ass haircut. Second off, primary colors. Her outfit was not giving. Everybody always went, playing princesses, you're like, oh, I have to be Snow White? Could I be anything else? And also she does nothing. She's asleep for half the movie. Like it's really boring and stupid. And let's keep in mind, most Disney reimaginations have not been exact carbon copies of the original. For example, Disney Beauty and the Beast. Emma Watson can't sing. She was not getting death threats for not being able to hold a tune. They took out most of the songs out of Cinderella. That's different than the original. Was Lily James getting death threats? No. The Sleeping Beauty remake was like an entirely new reimagination. Did we hear boo about that? No. Where were you then, Disney historians and purists? Just say you're a bigot. Disney remakes aren't perfect and neither is your credit score, so let's focus on the big things first. Let cool until candy hardens about 5 minutes. Add green candy melts to a medium microwave safe bowl. You guys are telling me to do a double broiler? I know I complain so much about microwaving chocolate, but I just kind of don't feel like it. You're gonna hate me for this. I also think that trad lifestyles are getting less and less popular. I mean, due to a lot of reasons, one of which being that people just can't afford it. But people who do embrace these ideals feel feel like extra hypersensitive to anything that threatens their way of life. I think 4 times we heard this girl repeat, I just want to be taken care of by my husband and roam in the woods and make pies all day. A lot of like the trad girls, a lot of like the feminism ruined my life girls are mostly just girls that are mad that they have to go to work. Okay, but if you want to be supported by your husband, he probably doesn't want to fucking work either. Nobody wants to work. Like, that's the elephant in the room, is that literally nobody wants to work. Get your ass up and work. But the reason that it's not feasible for you to have a single income household is not because feminism ruined your life, it's because of capitalism, you dumb bitch. The things that you are feeling are not feminism, it is capitalism. What you are feeling are things such as the middle class squeeze. I mean, the middle class has so clearly shrunk over the past 5 decades. The share of adults who live in middle class households fell from 61% in 1971 to 50% in 2021, according to a Pew Research Center analysis of government data. This is called the middle class squeeze. It's getting harder and harder to be right in the middle in America. And so, yeah, maybe you are feeling like it's impossible to have a single income household. You might feel like, yeah, you do have to go to work every day, but it's not because of feminism. It's not because of Rachel Zegler and the Snow White movie and the movement against trad wives. Girl, this is because housing prices rose more than 25% between December 2019 and December 2024. This is because food prices rose by nearly 30% in the same period. Also, it's not like the ghost of Susan B. Anthony is holding you at gunpoint and saying, go to work, go clock in, bitch. You really don't have to. You could like get a sugar daddy. You could find some guy with similar values to you who makes enough money to make it happen. You could find an average guy and decide that you're going to make his salary work. Live in the middle of nowhere, sew your own clothes, plant your own food, and make it work. Feminism is not forcing you to get a career and be a girl boss. Feminism is the choice to do that or to also not do that. This film didn't ruin your childhood, your parents did. I just don't know why this film matters so much to be an exact adaptation of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, especially considering there was a remake in 1916, 1987, 1994, 2001, 2012, 2012, 2012, 2016, 2018, 2019. There were 3 Snow White adaptations in 2012 alone. Do we really need to tell the same story? Why are we so pressed that this one had a little flavor? And also, Rachel Zegler was the best choice for the role. One, they were never gonna use somebody undiscovered. I heard some of like my film bro-y people say like, oh, well, they should have just used somebody undiscovered. They weren't gonna do that, dumbass. Hollywood is struggling so bad right now, they cannot afford to do that, okay? 2, who else is famous for being a beautiful singer who's young, who has a recognizable name in Hollywood right now? It's just Rachel. That's why she's booked every role like this in the past 5 years. She's talented, she's good, she's clearly fun to work with. This is how this town works, duh. Don't be stupid. She was of course the best option. This is not some DEI hire. But in response to this, Daily Wire decided we're gonna make a real Snow White. And so they cast Brett Cooper to be traditional Snow White and they released a trailer about a year ago.
Once upon a time, but now that time is gone.
I just don't know how Matt Walsh was spending so much time bitching about the new songs in the Snow White movie when this is what they responded with. I'm sorry, there's some vocal strain. That dress looks like a Mormon prom photo from 2012. And what makes this even more delicious is that apparently they've canceled this film because they had a falling out on their contract a few months ago. The hate against Rachel Zegler has gotten so extreme that finally she had to address it. In all honesty, it made me sad that it was taken in such a way because I believe that women can do anything, but I also believe that they can do everything, she said, explaining that she'd intended to say Snow White has her sights set on achievements beyond finding love. I would never want to box someone in and say, if you want love, then you can't work. Or if you want to work, then you can't have a family. It's not true. It's never been true. It can be very upsetting when things get taken out of context or jokes don't land. Zegler continued, the love story is very integral. A lot of people wrote that they weren't doing that storyline anymore. We were always doing that. It just wasn't that we were talking about it on that day. Exactly as I've been saying. But how sad that she got hate for so many months off of such like a quick little quip in a Vanity Fair interview. And she's been being cooked about it for years. In fact, they had to delay the release of the movie because of how much hate it was getting. Things seemed to settle down a little bit, but then in November, Donald Trump wins the election and Rachel Zegler responds with an Instagram story. I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred, leaning us toward a world I do not want to live in. Leaning us towards a world that will be hard hard to raise my daughter in, leaning us towards a world that will reinforce her to have a baby that she doesn't want, leaning us toward a world that is fearful. I shouldn't be this shocked, but I am. I am heartbroken for my friends who awoke fear this morning. And I am here with you, to cry, to yell, to hug, to wax poetic on how the left continues to fail us in forging a new path forward. This loss should not have been, and it certainly should not have been by so many votes. I echo Ethel Kane's statement more than anything. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. This enacts a new wave of heat. The slop content around anything Rachel Zegler does is just a gold mine for these channels. Everybody comes out with a video breaking this down. And one of the main complaints was like, this is kind of a double standard because Gina Carano was fired for her problematic tweets. Rachel's obviously upsetting a large majority of your demographic. But I actually looked into this and I don't think these two situations are comparable because Gina Carano was a repeated offender. She also pulled the Holocaust into this. She also was spreading COVID misinformation. She had prior warnings from Disney. Not only did she alienate certain audiences, but she also was a corporate liability. Not to mention, this was a Lucasfilms product. Let's also note that Gina Carano was a side small character who was easy to write off. Meanwhile, Rachel, her posts were harsh, but it wasn't violent by any means. It was a personal, emotional reaction, and this was the only time she ever did it. And also, she's the lead in a film that's been in production for years. Trying to move around that is nearly impossible. And on top of all of this, she released an apology. But that did not stop people from reigniting a wave of hate against her. And it's just been relentless. The movie will have premiered by the time this video comes out. And I have no doubt in my mind that these nerd weirdo yahoos are totally going to review bomb this movie. They definitely have rolled back the press and PR and carpets compared to what they usually would. They've only released tickets 2 weeks before the premiere instead of the typical 1 month before. But honestly, at this point, there's been so much hate and vitriol around the movie that it is kind of like, damn, let's get this over with, get this off our hands. If I'm Disney, I'm gonna do the same thing. They're doing it not because it's a bad film, not because of any reason other than you freak shows are just being so dramatic about it. They don't want to be involved in this anymore. However, reviews have started to roll in, and it seems like quite a few of them are positive. Variety's film reporter Casey Steffen penned, Rachel Zegler is a shining supernova in Snow White, beautifully embodying the graceful, gentle nature of an OG Disney princess. Filmhound's editor Paul Klein echoed the praise with one caveat, writing that he may regret saying this, but Snow White is solid. I really enjoyed the musical numbers. Zegler was great in the lead role, Gadot was fun. It's really the CGI dwarves that let the film down. The choice is baffling. I think there are critical ways to engage with the film. Certainly, as with most films, are things that could be better, but it almost is difficult to like have any meaningful discourse because the freak shows have co-opted it so hard that like I just don't even want to talk about criticizing a film. Also, a film made for children, I don't know if I care to really get into it. Similarly, Matt DeGroot wrote, despite becoming an internet punching bag, Disney's remake of Snow White is actually one of the most successful. But let's also keep in mind, this is not the first time that the culture war Disney adult warriors have done this. They also did this to The Little Mermaid. Why? Because the mermaid was black. The mermaid, yes, a mythical creature that does not exist. They were mad she was black. Okay, that seems really nerdy and weird that you care that much about a kid's movie. They also did this to the new Star Wars Acolyte movie because it had like too many like female leads of color and it was, I don't know, apparently woke, like I don't know. They also did this to She-Hulk and they infamously did this to Captain Marvel. At the time they were like, this means Disney is over. Then they responded with Inside Out, which made $1 billion. Guys, I don't know if you've been to a Disney park recently, but I'm pretty sure they're doing okay. I think they'll recover from this. Okay, this is the next Poison Apple. The good thing is that like the whole point is for it to look like poison and evil, so it really doesn't need to look good. And that's kind of my style. There are certainly valid criticisms to have for this film, to have for the cast, to have for Disney, but honestly, I just feel like what's most evident to me is the hate campaign against Rachel Zegler is fucking ridiculous. I'm excited to see this film come out this weekend. She's gonna crush it. The weirdos are gonna sob. It's gonna make Ben Shapiro so much money off of his weird ass reaction videos. And at the end of the day, just remember that this is for children and you're not a child. It's literally for kids. It's literally for little girls in the age range of like 8 to 15. So if that's not you and you didn't like it, I think I know why. Is Gal Gadot the best actress? No. Is Rachel's wig awful? Yes. Is the CGI thing kind of weird? Yes. But if I see any criticism on the not white Snow White, if I see any criticism on Rachel Zegler is a feminist, the storyline is too feminist, I'm just gonna assume that you're a weird nerd and that you have a strange relationship to Disney media that is not healthy for adults to have. Okay, I don't know, I'm over it. I got bored of this project. Let's see, do I have one that even turned out? How do you like dem apples? If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and share with a friend. It tastes pretty good. Subscribe to my channel.